What is the middle fiddle riddle?
That's correct.
Let's go to islands 400, please.
St. Croix is the largest of these islands belonging to the United States. Ashley.
What are the Virgin Islands?
Correct.
Islands 800.
Though only 540 square miles, you could say it's the most colossal of the Dodecanese Islands. Sam.
Rhodes.
Yes.
12 islands, 1200, please.
It's the northernmost of the Florida Keys, as well as the longest. Ashley.
What is Key West?
No.
What
Sam.
is Key Largo?
That's it.
Island 1600.
It's the largest of Asia's Greater Sunda Islands. Sam.
2000.
The Windward and Leeward Islands make up the lesser these. Sam.
What are Antilles?
Yes.
Triple Rhine time 1200.
A steering camp bed scheme. Sam.
It's a hot cot.
That's right.
Names and places 400.
In July 2021, he became the first billionaire space company owner to ride his own craft into the heavens.
Branson.
Yes, that's him.
Names 2000.
The TPLF, this Ethiopian Region People's Liberation Front, captured the region's capital from government soldiers.
Jason, are you able to hear us on our end?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Gotcha, thank you. Jason, just make sure we're watching for Todd Poquette. Make sure he doesn't end up in the wrong room, please.
Is he on the 906 adventure team?
Yes, and
All right.
representing Polar Roll.
All right, I'll promote him then.
All right, so I have 6 o'clock.
Happens every time we start. I don't know why it does that. Okay. All right, my mic's on, your mic's on.
Yep.
Should be ready to go now.
Okay. All right, then I've got 6:01 and we will call the meeting to order. And we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Kathy, roll call, please.
Mayor Bean.
Here.
Councilmember Chapman.
Here.
Councilmember Furby. Here. Councilmember Scanlon.
Here.
Councilmember Skug.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to public comment. This is limited to 5 minutes per person. We have pretty full house online and in the room. So we will start with in the room and then move to online. So if there's anyone in the room who would like to provide public comment, please step up to the podium. Give us a second to shift the camera around and then you'll have 5 minutes. And if you could state your name and your address, that would be fantastic.
I think Bob's gonna be agenda comment.
Okay.
Cliff Shaft.
And
My name is Bob Clark and I reside at 1104 Cooper Lake Road in Ishpeming Township. I am the board president of the Cliff Shaft Mine Museum and have with me our executive director, Craig Ilmanen. We are here to offer our wholehearted support for the renewal of City Manager Cugini's contract. Mr. Cugini has developed an excellent relationship with our museum. At his suggestion, we entered into an agreement whereby the city provides much needed winter snow removal and summer lawn maintenance at the museum in exchange for no charge antenna space atop of the C-shaft head frame for city antennas. Mr. Cugini graciously included the museum as a stop for participants in last fall's city management conference held in Ishpeming. In addition, we are collaborating on a potential museum property sale for residential development and on a project to relight the B-shaft head frame. In short, we feel that Mr. Cugini sees the museum as an integral part of the downtown community. We agree and wish to further the development of the museum, the pavilion, and Bancroft Lake as a destination location within the city. In 2021, our museum recorded over 2,600 paid admissions by visitors from all over the United States, Europe, and the world. In addition, we hosted events for Start the Cycle, Buzz the Gut, the Labor Day Parade, and visits by numerous other groups, such as the Girl Scouts and the Ishpeming Nagani Rotary. We held our inaugural Crafts at the Shaft event last September, which had over 20 crafters and was very well attended. In short, we think Mr. Cugini's investment in our museum will pay significant dividends for the city of Ishpeming, and once again, we wholeheartedly support the renewal of his contract and look forward to 5 more years of cooperation and growth. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Bob. Is there anyone else in the room for public comment? All right, go ahead.
Lisa Thompson, 208 South 2nd Street. I'm also here in support of renewing the city manager's contract. As you know from previous meetings, I had a city sewer line collapse into my house, and Craig was there through the whole process, making sure it got fixed. I know there's a lot of people who think I haven't lived here very long and that maybe my voice doesn't matter as much, but I've also lived in 7 states and a lot more cities than that, and I've never met a city manager, let alone have one stand in front of my house for days to make sure that something got fixed. And my boyfriend and I are now looking at buying a commercial building, and a lot of that is because of Craig. He actually showed up to help us look at another building because it would have involved a lot of funding. And we didn't buy that one, but now we're in the process of another one. And a lot of that was because of his help. So I'm also in support of renewing the contract. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Okay.
Craig, you've done an awesome job. And have you ever met a city manager?
Hang on, you have to.
Engaging. Oh.
You have to state your name and your address.
Sorry. My name is Mark Hall, and I live on 141 Vine Street. So, hi.
Yeah, take a half step back and we should be able to hear you still. No.
Okay, cool.
Do you have a phone in your pocket or something? Maybe it's, I don't know if it's interfering. I don't know what's, yeah, maybe just set on the chair. I don't know what's causing the interference. Yeah. Okay.
So I came over here, I work for Wilderness Sports. I actually punched out to come over here and give public comment because I think it's important that everyone hears how great Craig is. And I think without Craig involved in a lot of the decision making around here in the last couple years, a lot of the things that we see and take for granted now just would not have been possible. We've all seen or past negative comments and things that have done to our town. I think with Craig at the helm, we're starting to see a renewed increase in growth and prosperity in the city of Ishpeming, and a lot more positivity come from that. And I want to say thank you personally for that. Sandy Sunquist, actually from the Wilderness Sports, she's the owner. says that you were the only city manager to actually walk into Wilderness Sports since she's owned it, to hang out, say hi, and so thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Is there anyone else for public comment?
Is there an agenda comment? Is that next?
Yes,
Okay, and this is an agenda item?
it is an agenda item. Agenda comment has a 3-minute comment period, so, okay.
Hello, I'm Dave Lawler. I live at 925 North Main Street. Not to sound like a broken record, but I'm here to support Craig as well. Like Lisa, I'm relatively new to the community, but I've joined the Planning Commission. I participate and start the cycle. Been to a lot of Partridge Creek Farm events, and Craig is always there. He's engaged. He has a deep vested interest in people who live in this community, but also the people who work in this community, the tourists that come to this community, and seeing that commitment, that passion for his job has really been really great to see and inspiring. So just wanted to express my support.
Is there anyone else in the room for public comment? Okay, then we will move to Zoom. Jason, is there anyone on Zoom who would like to provide public comment? If you are interested, you can use the raise your hand function.
We have 2 on Zoom who want to comment.
Okay.
Gotta appoint someone here first. I guess we'll go with Bryce Stew on the attendees.
Okay. All right, Bryce, you'll have 5 minutes for public comment.
Hey, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes. Sorry, and please state your name and your address.
My name is Bryce Sturmer. My address is 367 County Road in Negaunee, and I do own commercial property at 109 South Main Street in Ishpeming. I just wanted to come tonight and speak my support for Craig and his contract renewal. I've only had positive interactions with Craig, and also I would say that he is doing a great job of fostering a vibrant business community and bringing new businesses, new families, all kinds of newness to Ishpeming. And so I would strongly encourage the council to vote in favor of renewing his contract. Additionally, I would like to just give a quick update on our Velodrome Ishpeming project. We are getting closer. We're now roasting coffee in our space, so that's exciting. And keep an eye out. We're hopefully going to be opening the cafe here in the next 3 to 4 weeks is my best guess at this point. COVID and all those other factors right now are all playing a role. And additionally, I would like to also just mention my support for the cannabis licensure that's coming down, and thank the City Planning Commission as well as the council for their work on this. And Al Pierce as well has done a lot of work on this. And so I just wanted to say thank you for all that, and excited to see how that process continues to unfold. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And there was one more on Zoom, Jason.
Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sarah Lucas from the LSCP, the Lake Superior Community Partnership, and I'm here tonight in respect to a couple agenda items, including the renewal of the city manager's contract. And just wanted to say that one of our goals at the LSCP and one of my own personal goals is to be able to build strong working relationships and partnerships with all parts of the community around economic development. And we recognize how important our partnerships with local governments are, in particular in economic development. I tend to think that local governments are de facto economic developers. They make the decisions and the investments that will impact business for many years to come. And I think that to be successful, local and regional economies really depend on the engagement of their local governments in working towards those bigger economic development goals in partnership with other parts of the community. And having worked with this council and with Craig over the last several months, I've consistently been really impressed with the vision and commitment to action that I've seen here, and particularly with the collaborative spirit that Craig has shown in participating in our activities, our regional initiatives, leading those conversations and actually shaping some of those regional economic development initiatives. We really appreciate his perspective and his leadership, and we're grateful for the opportunities that he's identified around working together towards shared goals, both organizationally and regionally. So as you consider the renewal of the city manager contract, I just wanted to share my support and appreciation and let you know how much we're looking forward to continuing to work with the city and with Craig over the next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment, either in the room or on Zoom?
We got Jay Clancy with a hand up.
Okay, all right. And Jay, name and address, please.
Hi, Jay Clancy, 54 Blue Road champion, owner of Cognition Brewing and the church space, Grace Church. I did not know that the renewal was on the agenda tonight, but I would strongly encourage the council to renew Craig Gugini's contract. I'm super impressed with the way he has grown into his job here in the city, and kind of got a feel for the people here, and seems to be super organized and has been very helpful to me with some of the struggles that you're probably all aware of. So I strongly support you to renew his contract.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment? Okay. Then we will close public comment and move on to the approval of the agenda.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The next item is agenda comment, which is similar to public comment, except specific to an agenda item and is limited to 3 minutes per person. And May, are you? Okay.
I thought I'd mix it up and give my public comment about the renewal of the city manager's contract separately than everybody else's. My name is May Chupros. I reside at 925 North Main Street in Ishpeming. I work for an organization called Partridge Creek Farm here in the city. I started with them in 2020. Actually, I moved here right when Craig got hired. I remember meeting him in February 2020 and thinking, who is this guy? And throughout the last 2 years, I've had the great pleasure of working with him. And actually am here specifically to thank you, Craig, on behalf of the Action Planning Committee for the Jasper Light Project, the Intergenerational Farm. So those of you who don't know, Partridge Creek Farm in partnership with Ishpeming Public School District number 1 is building an intergenerational farm at the Jasper Light site. It'll be an almost 4-acre site, and Craig is part of the Action Planning Committee along with Superintendent Meyer and Brian Cervello and Principal Hoopengartner, a bunch of other wonderful people. And I feel like I can speak on behalf of them and just thanking you for all of your ideas, your contributions, really showing up and listening to what everybody has to say and adding really, really important foundational things to it. So thank you for that. And the last thing I'll say is, you have a really hard job. And when the council is considering Craig's very hard job, I hope they consider that, I feel Craig that makes decisions based on the whole as opposed to one individual or a small group of people. And to me, that is true leadership. So I'll additionally thank you for your leadership, Craig. And so I'm here in support of renewing the city manager.
Is there anyone else in the room for agenda comment?
Claudia Demarest, 821 Maurice Street. You see, the city manager's contract renewal is on the agenda tonight. It has not done anything good for this city. More people at DPW are leaving in the last 2 weeks. How many are left? I hear the mayor was calling employees who left asking why they left, and they didn't hold back. He told her it was because of the manager. He was on TV the other night talking about plowing and snow removal. It should have been titled Lack of Plowing. and being behind on snow removal. Someone asked me why Ishpeming still has a winter parking ban. One council member said after the survey, the manager and council realized they need to change. Well, that obviously didn't kick in yet, as evidenced by our last snowstorm. He talked about saving money by not having them go out and plow and giving overtime, only to turn around and give huge raises to some of the administration staff. I wonder what kind of a raise he thinks he's worth. I guess we'll find out on item 17. What is the status of reviewing our high water rates? Nothing, as you let the 5% increase go into effect. And item 13 on the agenda, Lake Superior Partnership Agreement. How much are you proposing to give them? $50,000? What have they ever done for Ishpeming that warrants $50,000? When I was on the council, we didn't think the $5,000 to $6,000 that they were getting was worth it and got rid of it. The residents of Ishpeming are the ones who are paying for the lack of good leadership in this city. Raise rates, raise taxes, give money to the partnership, raise administration wages. And what do the residents get? We get nothing. The residents are watching.
Is there anyone else for agenda comment? Okay. And how about on, Jason, is there anyone on Zoom for agenda comment? Again, you can use the, sorry, go ahead.
We've got nobody.
Okay. All right, last call for agenda comment. Okay, and.
Don't worry. It's not COVID, I promise. I'm taking tests.
I thought asking everyone to take a rapid test before this evening might have been overkill.
Well, I actually did take now 6 at-home tests over the last 2.5 weeks. They've all been negative. This is how I am in the winter.
Well, good. Then I'm glad I'm sitting closer to you. All right, we will move on to item number 7, the consent agenda, of which there are items A, minutes of the previous meetings on December 8th and 28th, approval of disbursements, declare 117 library books and 4 large beanbag chairs as surplus, confirm 2022 publishing source, that's the Mining Journal, confirm 2022 depositories, Nicolay, Flagstar, True North, First Bank, Comerica, Charles Schwab, and Edward D. Jones, and confirm payment to Upset for 2022 of $10,000.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support. All those in favor?
One thing I would like to say is I'm glad to see the Upset. That's the best $10,000 we ever spend. And they, you don't hear a lot about them, but they're here a lot. So it's really good to see.
I think we hear about them in a roundabout way. Okay, there is a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then we will move on to item number 8, the monthly financial statement report.
Good evening. What you're looking at tonight in front of you is actually only a preliminary report of December of 2021. As you know, we had contracted with Plant Moran to provide financial services in the interim of Jim leaving. And we had done a working budget for them of $20,000, and that ran out as of late November. So there are still some year-end booking reports that need to be handled and some bank recs that have not been finalized yet. So these numbers are as they stand as of today. And then there will be a final December report that we can present to you pending your discussion of the next item with the renewal for Plant Moran. So as the numbers stand today, the total pooled cash ending for December of 2021, $7,685,313. And of that, the general fund share of pooled cash, $633,021. Major street share, $1,145,292. Local street share, $192,210. The garbage fund, $213,649. Public improvement share, $660,146. The sewer fund, $1,813,321,000, and the water share for pooled cash is $2,097,367. The numbers on here for revenues and expenses, I was not planning to read off as they're not going to be entirely accurate at this time. I would rather follow up with a final corrected report for December.
Your Honor, I would make a motion that we just lay this report on the table until we get the completed report from Caitlin, whether it's the next meeting or whatever.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then that brings us to item number 9, which is agreement with Plant Moran for financial services.
So you all received an email with some report from Plant Moran, so you could review it ahead of time and understand where we're at. They have reconciled through October. So initially, they had to review BS&A, get all access, understand our circumstance. They did some small ledger versus large ledger comparison, make sure we're tracking, coordinated with our treasury office to make sure that reconciles were understood and coordinated properly, and the bank invoices, everything matched. Where there was something that was discrepancy, they were spending a lot of time. We now sort of have that process locked, enrolled, and understood, and they would expect that that's about 2 to 4 hours a month of work. But we are still needing November through December reconciled, plus our pre-audit for the end of year done, and that's going to also be a pretty significant amount of time and effort. So we have Plant Moran on that can answer any questions about what was done, how it was done, what they foresee. But we know that with the absence of a finance director, we do still need to close out the year end. We still need to do our audit prep and be ready for the end of year return to hand to Anderson Tackman for the actual audit come the spring. And so there's still some ongoing effort there. We have Jim sort of in the background helping us with some of those things that we're still open, and is still able to do some. He's projecting about 40 to 60 more hours of things. I have a list of those things and where that is. With Jim in the background and understanding that the finance director is vacant, the pay and allowances and benefits is still a realized savings. We probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of $6,000 to $10,000 a month that would be available as a finance director salary to be used to help keep Plant Moran working on our efforts going forward. So I have Brian and Carolyn on available to be able to answer questions specifically for Plant Moran. In the end, we need to decide as a council what the direction is for execution and guidance. I believe that that would be a bi-weekly report from Plant Moran to keep aware of how finances are being spent. Probably some sort of monthly plan for CAP, but we definitely need to be moving out on the end of the year and closing out October, or the November, December, and the prep audit. And then we'd be looking at a more of a stable, just reconciliation there forward of about a few hours a month, which again, until we hire somebody, could be absorbed by the finance director position's projected budget or annual budget costs. So Brian and or Carolyn, I see you're here, I see you're available. Council, do you have any questions for them?
Your Honor, before we do any discussion, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the manager to move forward with Plant Moran through the audit preparation phase.
Stu, is that nod support? Okay.
And for questions, will you guys, and either one of you, will you guys be electronically working with our auditors, or will you have somebody in-house here for a while?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. We live in southeastern Lower Peninsula, so unfortunately we will not be able to be on site. We'll have to do everything remotely. But quite honestly, we've been working 95% remotely for the last 2 years. So whether we're 8 hours by car, whether we're 8 minutes by car, for us, it really doesn't much matter. You're able to give us remote access into your general ledger and in all of your electronic systems. So distance is not an issue.
And the other question I had is the BSNA program, is that folding in as a beneficial part of our work, or is it neutral?
No, BSNA is an excellent software. And I'm not paid to say this, it is my favorite of the local government softwares. Probably close to 80% of our clients use it. What it comes down to, though, quite often is the initial configuration. It's very possible that the BSNA system has more capabilities than what the city's using. And that's one of the things that, assuming we stick around long enough, that we'd like to get into. I know our initial charge is going to be to get your year-end close and get you through the audit. But if we have any kind of ongoing role thereafter, we would want to help you optimize how the city uses BSNA.
Very good. Thank you, Brian. That's all I had, Your Honor.
Does anybody else have any questions or further discussion? Okay, then we do have a motion and a second to authorize the city manager to continue working with Plant Moran through the audit period. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Is there anything else we should discuss, talk about, questions?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Thank you both very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, then we will move on to item number 10, special event applications. We have the Fat-ish bike race on January 15th, the Polar Roll Fat Bike event February 11th and 12th, and the Iron Range Roll for June 4th. And yes, so the first one is the Fat-ish, and I believe Matthew is on to speak to that. I don't know if anyone has any questions or if you've reviewed the application, and I don't know, Matthew, if there's anything you'd like to add to that? I don't have any questions. I see that the Sunday event was canceled, and that's noted on the application.
Yeah. So I would just say that our comment is that the tubing event will be run by DPW staff. We have not had enough applications for the tubing hill at this point, but we had previously approved or preliminarily approved so they could move forward with planning this event, and we don't want to have a last-second cancellation because of staffing. So the DPW have coordinated and will be, but that is a overtime cost for the staff, but we do have the staff already committed to that to make sure this event takes place.
Your Honor, I will make a motion that we approve the special events, and as always of late, depending on COVID, just so we're covering ourselves. If things stay present, these are almost non-contact events as they were in the past, so I will make that motion.
Okay. For discussion purposes, as we have two other people connected with events on, did anybody have any other questions? And Pat, can you clarify what you mean by with consideration of COVID? Is there something that you want? Because we haven't addressed our COVID matrix or made any special
right.
consideration for COVID.
And I would consider that we move forward as that happens. I just don't want to, 2 days before something happens, come back and say we need to cancel.
Okay.
Just to make the applicants aware that if things go south, we may have to, because everything's rising again. And
it's about as south as it's gonna go, I think.
I hope so. I sure hope so.
Matthew, did you have something you were gonna say?
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't get my video started there for a second. I just wanted to say thank you for the two. That is huge for our event. I think it's huge for our community to be able to utilize that. And then on the COVID situation, we have some recommendations and really only used for registration. So participants and spectators are encouraged to come in and out and not spend time in there. So it's almost 100%.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, thank you. Yeah, and that's the closest one. So I'm sorry, I'm not sure that I understood exactly what you said, Pat, as far as coming back to them at the.
Just basically a little codicil that says, yeah, we're approving it should nothing erupt as far as the COVID issue.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
no, what happened last time was the 3-day thing and the numbers went crazy and so did the community.
Because the numbers are pretty crazy right now. I don't know how they go much more crazy from where they were.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I think it's something we're gonna have to learn to live with.
Mhm.
And I think awareness is the key, and Matt answered perfectly. They're aware of it.
Okay.
They're taking precautions, and that's all I would ask for.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. All right, is there any other questions or discussion? And then yeah, okay.
Are we approving one at a time?
I think the motion was to approve all three of them, correct? Yes. Okay, so if there are no further questions or discussion, then.
We only talked about one event, so do we want to talk about any of the others or not?
Yeah.
I don't want to start out of the dialogue if there isn't any, but familiarity amongst council really matters, right? So
Yeah, and I think they understand what we're talking about. So if they don't have any input, I'm assuming they are moving forward just as Matt did.
Yeah, and these are 3 events that have taken place every year for a number of years. Fairly straightforward, so.
I'm happy if you're happy, I just want to make
Okay,
sure.
all right. So if there aren't any other questions or discussion, which it does not appear that there are, thank you to those who attended. And all those in favor of approving those 3 events, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Thank you guys for joining. Okay, then we'll move on to item number 11, the purchase of a 44-inch snowblower attachment for the Department of Public Works.
And I will let the DPW foreman, Mr. Bill Anderson, address that briefing for you.
So what's in front of you is a attachment for the holder that you guys purchased. Right now, we currently use a snow blade to try and clear the street or clear the sidewalks. The snow blade fits perfectly between the light poles in the buildings. However, when you get the large amount of snow that we do and the amount of corners that people like to plow in, it's very difficult to try and plow that. The blade is only, I think it's 18 inches tall. The snow blower will be able to blow through anything that is plowed into the corners, allowing access to the sidewalks. We went with the 44-inch. We will be adding on 1.5-inch wings to the sides of it to get us to the right dimension of the machine and be able to clear the sidewalks.
This is actually something that I kind of asked for earlier in the winter season when I was getting a lot of complaints. So I'm really happy to see this on the agenda. So I guess I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and go with the recommendation to purchase the snowblower attachment for the holder.
Support.
And to clarify, this comes from the motor pool,
The winter maintenance budget, yes.
winter maintenance budget, gotcha. Okay, all those in favor, please.
Your Honor, despite what some people think, and there have been a lot of complaints, we've got a lot of new people, Mr. Anderson, but they're people that know what they're doing. We're not introducing them to removing snow. We've also got lots of other input about sidewalks, putting snow on the sidewalks, putting snow on the corners. Talked with the chief and the city manager about what we're going to enforce, how we're going to enforce it. We've got a plowing program in front of us tonight that's a new program that the manager has worked up with Bill. People need to have patience. And the manager's been here for a while, I agree. But there isn't much that you can touch that doesn't need revamping or refreshing. And snow removal is a tough one. So the blower attachment, I believe, is something that is, as Councilman Chapman said, it's overdue. That's how we clear the sidewalk and we don't hit light posts and all the other stuff, because nobody planned to clear the sidewalks when they put all the lights in. So that's one of the examples of what we have to deal with. What I would like you to do on this is to fit into your plan, or remember to strongly watch access to our stores downtown.
That's where I was going with.
Because that's the, somebody will come out and they'll shovel a pole to get into their store, and then somebody parks a car there. Or they'll put signs up that say, don't park here, and then that draws somebody to park there. And I know it's tough, but kind of keep that in mind. And I always call it pulling snow. We would have a storm and we'd go out the night after and we'd pull snow during the night. But whatever you call it, I think that has to be a high priority with this. And keep that in mind if you would.
Well, that's kind of what my hope is, after kind of talking a little bit the other night with you guys, is that this won't create that big of a
This is not gonna be in lieu of hauling snow. This is gonna help us to get our job done in the meantime before we can haul the snow. We're still gonna haul snow.
But like I'm thinking, Bill, is there should be no snow left on the sidewalk except the windrow from the snowblower is gonna be on the edge of the street. So when you come by, you can grab that with the big blower or a loader when you do get to it. So that's a huge savings in itself, because now you don't have to work the sidewalk all over again. Very good.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding that? Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of supporting the purchase of the snow blower attachment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Item number 12 is the purchase of a 500-gallon double wall fuel tank, or purchase of 500-gallon double wall fuel tanks, plural, for cemetery and parks.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to hand this over to the general foreman, or the general foreman for a second, but I just want to make a comment that kind of echoes the sentiment that Mr. Scanlon was getting at, but also is referring to both of these packets, in that we constantly look for efficiencies, ways to do things better, cheaper, and with less effort to improve the city. Snow events change, some things don't. In this case, we're talking about fuel, which isn't a significant change, but you're going to see a significant savings. Go ahead, Bill.
So it's actually two fuel tanks. One is gonna be an off-road and one is gonna be an unleaded fuel. Currently, right now, Parks and Recs, with the skiing equipment, lawnmowers, anything, they fuel up fuel cans in the back of the pickup truck and they haul them to the shop and then they fuel up the equipment. Or they use a tank in the back of the truck. What this is gonna do is it's gonna have two stationary tanks at the cemetery. The guys will then be able to fuel all their equipment there. The side benefit to this is you're now gonna know what the Parks, Rec, and Cemetery now spends on fuel. Because currently, all fuel goes into the motor pool fund, and we just gotta kind of figure out who pays what, but this is gonna help with that part. The only other expense that's gonna happen with this is we will have to have a licensed electrician to do this correctly, because it is the unleaded fuel. The diesel fuel, it's not that bad, but the unleaded we do. The savings, on the date that I did this, the savings on unleaded fuel was approximately 85 cents a gallon. And on unleaded fuel, it's 60 cents a gallon. In 7 tanks, the tanks will be filled or paid in full. And then the savings will be recognized.
Bill, do we still have the piston bully?
Yes.
So we've been filling all of that mobile equipment with cans.
Correct.
Or the tank that sits in the back of one of the pickups, but it, you know. it's a
Okay,
transfer
we have no
tank.
ground tank
Or we
right
have no
now
ground
at all.
tank right now, that's correct.
These are double wall tanks because they're under 1,001 gallons. They're not regulated. However, I forgot his name already, but the gentleman from the DEQ is gonna come and check them out for us, just so that it's done. After we have the wiring done and the venting done.
Do we intend to have vehicle number distribution? If I come in with the mower 002, I record, I put.
I did not put that on there. If you guys want to do the gallons per equipment, then the price that you see on the bottom of the sheet is the correct price. I wanted to, however, go with the little cheaper one that doesn't have the gauge. So we're just going to charge everything to Parks and Rec. It's your choice.
I think the short answer is we're not doing it by the method of buying a tank that does it for us in counting, but we have the ability to do manual accountability for major pieces of equipment.
So
Lawnmowers and weed whips, probably not so much, but right now, we can't even account for what's Parks and Recs versus some other portion of DPW, so we're taking that first leap in doing that by getting these tanks. Hand jamming, like, hey, I'm bringing the piston bully, we could put a log inside the piston bully and they put in 15 gallons and record that and have that a monthly.
But it will have the gauge on it, the meter.
It's up to you guys. The price at the bottom of the sheet is the price with the one with the fuel counter. If you read the bottom of the sheet, it says.
I'm not sure in the sheet here.
Yeah, it's on the sheet. Right in the middle of the sheet, it says what the gallon per minute the pump is.
Mr. Scanlon, it's the sheet that looks like.
Oh,
the
okay.
second sheet.
It should be right underneath that
Gotcha.
in your packet.
So that price includes a $957 charge for an electric pump with the meter. I was gonna go with the 12 gallon per minute without the meter for $450. So it's $450 difference if you want to do the meter.
So is it a pump either way or is it gravity?
It's a pump either way, whether we have the meter on or not, that's up to you guys, and it's a $400 charge to have the meter.
Per tank.
Per tank. Yeah. I didn't see the use in having the meter, but if you guys want the guys to log it that way, I think it's gonna be a lot of paperwork.
It's all off-road.
It's
no
all
trucks.
One is off-road, and then the other is gonna be their unleaded for lawnmowers, mixing fuels. And I believe we're gonna be doing just the one pickup truck that they do have. We'll keep that in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'd be all right with, if we're gonna save $1,000, we can, if we decide we want it, we could go back and retro.
Yep.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Are there any further questions about that? Questions or discussion?
And that again is coming from the motor pool, did we say?
This is gonna come from the motor pool fuel fund.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve that.
Oh, I'll make
Oh,
a
I
motion.
thought there was.
I thought you kind of did, but no, I'll make a motion.
And support.
Did I miss it? Oh, okay, all right.
Kind of did.
Okay, so we have a motion and support. All those in favor of the purchase of 2 500-gallon double wall fuel tanks? please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then we're on to item number 13, Lake Superior Community Partnership Agreement.
And we have Sarah Lucas online from the Zoom end. In November, you approved the package that was, you had 3 proposal options. You chose a package, and Sarah and I have worked to put together the professional services agreement. And the biggest thing that you wanted there, we all wanted there, is the deliverable. What might it look like? How might it be documented? So if you look into section 2 of that plan, there's 3 tables, one for each of the services that were part of that package under the capacity building. And so you'll see the communications and marketing support, the neighborhood improvement planning and remediation, and then the redevelopment ready communities. And we'll let Sarah kind of talk through if you have questions regarding those deliverables. But as we've discussed in past, rather than belabored, is just recognizing that some things are easily quantified, some things take time and effort, planning, coordination, and then testing to make sure it's working. So some of them are a little harder to say with a pinpoint accuracy, here's your document, but we believe we've documented the deliverables that you requested in a way that is in fact measurable. So this is what's before you. And Sarah, if you have anything to chime in with there, or if you would like to ask specific questions.
Thanks, Craig. I think you've explained it well. I don't really have a lot to add, just that we were looking for ways that we could communicate to you on a regular basis the progress that's being made, whether that's a document like Craig says, or whether that's through a progress report with a format that we would develop together. But really want to honor the commitment that we made to provide tangible progress, or show tangible progress as we go through the contract period. But can talk in more detail on any of these deliverables if you have any questions on them specifically.
And this has been reviewed by legal. There were some comments, we made those changes and have passed it back and forth between LSCP and the city. We believe that this document is ready with any minor revisions that somebody finds between now and final signature, one more final review with the attorney. But the question for the council is, if we get that final review from the attorney, everything's as we kind of discussed, and you're comfortable with the deliverables, the rest is standard contract language, and I'm working to make sure it aligns with our insurance policy and basic legal requirements. And LSCP and us are in concert, believing that this is a product that will secure what you've asked for under contract.
Okay. I mean, it looks very thorough. I like that there are deliverables for all of those items, which I think are as tangible as they can be in most cases. Does anybody have any other questions or discussion regarding this? Okay. All right, if we don't have any other questions, I don't think there's no action.
The only action would be to authorize me to enter into an agreement upon final review of by legal.
Okay.
I mean, the language other than those tables is contract language that the attorney should be able to give that opinion and validate on your behalf. The deliverables is what you asked for, to make sure that we were not entering into something that didn't have a measurable outcome. And that was even brought up by a resident during the comment, that we want to make sure we have something like that, which is what we've been working to strive for the entire time. And so if you agree, then I would like to be able to execute this agreement and start this contract and begin performance.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we authorize the city manager to enter into work. Okay, I guess go with that then.
Okay, we have a motion and support to finalize the contract and agreement. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, thank you. Looking forward to working with you.
Yes.
Have a great night.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, we are on to item number 14, the second reading of zoning map amendment to rezone the former Episcopal church properties. And so I feel as if I may have not done this correctly at the last meeting with regard to the first reading. So please help me if I'm doing anything incorrectly.
Oh, I think you did fine.
Okay. So that is as a recap, we are rezoning that property from general commercial to central business district. Yes. Okay.
I think there actually are two different parcels being rezoned. One is from general commercial and the other, I think, is from general residential, right? Just both into central business.
Okay, yes. All right, so do we need to take any action on that? Are we adopting that recommendation or that amendment?
If you approve of the rezoning, it would be a motion to approve.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion to approve the rezoning as presented.
Support. It is the second reading. Is that a roll call vote?
You can do a roll call.
Oh, no, if it doesn't have to be, no.
All right, all those in favor of the rezoning, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Then we are on to item number 15, which is similar, second reading of the amendment to ordinance number 2-16, ordinance to regulate marijuana facilities. And item B, the second reading of amendment to ordinance number 8-100, zoning ordinance, the marijuana text.
What do we have to do here? Just
I think the same thing, correct? We are.
The same thing. This is just the second reading. You can see that there are some slight wording changes based on the discussion last time, and those are italicized so that you can see where the changes are. Some of them were discussed at the last meeting, but you didn't have the text in front of you. And so it's ready for your approval if you so wish.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to approve amendment 2-1600, which is 15A. Or do you want to do them? We can't do them all at once in this
One at a
case.
time?
do we?
One at a time is
Okay.
good.
That's what I thought.
All right. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve amendments to the ordinance 8-100, 15B.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. That feels like a big step forward. And I know that Al has done a lot of work on that, Al and Caroline. And at the planning commission meeting on Monday, he showed the application paperwork that he has been drafting. So that's also quite a large, lengthy document, which will be ready to go shortly. So yeah, looking forward to what that does for businesses in the city. Okay, then we are on to item number 16, which is the Compensation Commission report.
So we had a December meeting of the Comp and Pen. I was at an appointment, so I'm gonna let Kathy just kind of address that because she was running that meeting.
The Compensation Commission met in 2021, which was required. And we had a couple meetings, and at the last meeting, it was when they made their determination, which I sent to you as far as what their motions were. So basically, their motion was to keep the council pay as it was and maintain that same, what was it? The same report that was adopted back in 1999, which covered the compensation and travel and everything that was included in that. So they basically kept everything in there the same. And they did increase the compensation for the Board of Review from $12.50 to $15. So that was what changed. And now they meet in odd years, so we won't meet again until 2023.
So does that mean that the city council has been at the same wage since 1999? Okay.
I did provide to them, I checked surrounding municipalities to see what their rates of pay were for various councils and commissions. And we did fall pretty much right in that same range. So one thing we do that a lot of other organizations, or a lot of other municipalities don't, is offer a different wage for a mayor pro tem.
Is there minutes from this meeting?
Yeah, I can get those to you. Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be done in 10 months here, but I think it's a slap in the face from some people that don't support the council. And it's a tough one when you're sitting in the position. If I was a taxpayer, I'd be upset. It's kind of like Packer football. There's a lot of haters. And before I would vote on this, I want to read the minutes and get the information on the rest of the committee. There's got to be somebody besides Koski, Demarest, and Smith on there, correct? It's a 5-member board, isn't it?
Yeah. The 5-member board consists of Joe Judici, Ray Leverton was just appointed to the vacancy. And
David.
Or, excuse me, I'm sorry, Dave, and Claudia, Justin, and Karen Moffett? Not Karen. Chris, thank you, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll abstain from voting on it out of respect for the future council. I think that's a long time to go with, for the time that's put in, the grief that you go through. I think a decent raise would have been in order.
I don't disagree. Although when I ran for the previous election, I vehemently argued that city council doesn't get paid for the position. It's kind of nice, but it's definitely not worth it from a pay standpoint.
For sure. Well, and I look at it as I didn't sign up to run for this position to get paid. I ran to serve the residents here in the city. So for me, it's not about the money at all.
I mean, it would have to pay a lot more for it to be worth the money.
Oh, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the council should be treated fairly, not by people that are on the council's case all the time.
I don't disagree with you. So should we table this until the next meeting?
I'm not asking for anything other than saying that I will wait for my own vote till I see the rest of the information. So I will abstain from the action.
Would it appease anyone else to table the item? No? Okay, all right. Then we need to, is there any action on that? Do we need to approve that, or?
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we table it till the next meeting. So
Okay. Okay. Do we vote on tabling? I can't ever remember.
Yes, there's a motion, but you have to have a second.
Okay, so there's a motion to table. I will support that. All those in favor of tabling, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then we are on to item number 17, which is a city manager's contract renewal. And so for this, our previous contract, the original contract that we had when Craig was hired 2 years ago was worked on, Mr. Scanlon and I developed, I think we sort of took what was already somewhat in existence and worked with that, and that was accepted. Council reviewed it, so forth. And if I can get down here to this. So over the course of the past month or so, knowing that this was coming, that the deadline was up on the current contract, Craig and I met and discussed changes for a new contract. And so what you see in front of you is the changes that he and I discussed and were put into a draft. This was, the starting point for this was the original contract that we had from before, and we went through, and the items that have changed are highlighted. And so what I'll do is I'll run through those and discuss those changes and where they came from. So the first item is salary. As you might imagine, contracts usually have a salary change to them. So the proposed salary is starting at $100,000 with a $2,000 annual increase for each year afterward. In looking, doing a little bit of searching around online, it's listed as an average for city managers in the state of Michigan. The range is between 90 and 125 or so, with the average wage being 104,000. Marquette just hired a new city manager at 125,000, and Negaunee has a very complicated city manager wage, which is difficult to decipher, but puts it somewhere in the 85,000, or I'm sorry, no, I think we decided that was around 92 or 94. So knowing that, it doesn't have to be based on what other cities are doing, but it is good to know kind of how we fit in there. Current is at 80,000. So that does, is it 80? Shoot, 85, sorry. So that is a substantial increase. Hang on, Jason, let me go through each of the changes, then we'll go back up to the top. So then the second item there is an annual bonus of $3,000 based on an annual performance evaluation. And so we had a couple of discussions or longer discussion about bonus. There were other options put out. I think that a bonus based on a performance evaluation is ideal because then that puts goals and objectives that we agree on, puts a bit of a monetary amount to those potentially. And that is the additional attachment that's on there. So I worked on that. I took the performance evaluation generally that we've been using for the past year or so. We started with that last winter. We had it's evolved just a little bit. We did it again in the spring, and summer, and we will complete an evaluation following the renewal of the contract. So I put a little more detail to that and put some, more detail and more outlined how that process works and how that would fit into determining a percentage of a bonus to be paid. Continuing down, item G had a change, so the cost, so our original contract included the cost of a gym membership or a fitness membership, so long as it was located within the city limits. And that has been removed from this contract. Number 5, compensatory time off. for special city council meetings at a rate of 1.5 hours earned when a special council meeting is deemed necessary. Item number 7 is an increase from $300 to $600 per month for a vehicle allowance. In Marquette, that is $500. So that's double what it was before. It was $300. And we do also pay for mileage. However, the majority of the travel that the city manager does is within the city limits. And there's a fair amount of that. So
The mileage has to be beyond 50 miles.
yep, and the mileage has to
Right.
be beyond 50 miles. So he's never really collecting on mileage for.
2 trips, one to Munising and one to the conference down in Grand Rapids.
Item number 10 is 25 days of vacation. That's where his current contract was at. He had started at 20, moved up to 25, and this would stay at 25. The contract agreement, our initial agreement was for 2 years. This would be for 5 years. And I think so kind of going on to number 12, there are 2 items in 12A and B. So a severance pay should the contract be terminated, protects him, and then notice of resignation of 60 days, which protects us, the city, with the first day of the contract being February 3rd, which is when the current contract is set to expire. And then a 20% base salary to nationwide insurance, which is up 7% from 13. So those are the changes and some of the reasons why or justification for it. We had a number of people who spoke in favor at this meeting of renewing the contract, and we also have 3 or 4 letters of support that are printed as well. 3.
Your Honor.
3 letters of support, yes.
I don't particularly like the process to how we're sitting here with the city manager's contract, and this isn't that I don't, support you, Craig, or this isn't that I oppose the contract, but, I gotta ask why it came to the council in this way. A contract of this magnitude is something that I think we all need to have a lot more say in before it gets to this process. There's a lot of, I think we need to at least have had a committee that worked on this, not just you and the city manager. And there just hasn't been an appropriate amount of time for us to work on this. I think that we need to, at the very least, schedule a special meeting to discuss this, and not in this type of a format. I also feel like that there are a lot of areas that we need to talk about that need to be improved upon before we can make an agreement such as this. Taking into consideration the last evaluations, which I don't have in front of me, would not, in my opinion, have warranted this type of contract. And again, I'm not opposing this, Craig, and I'm not criticizing it, but as of right now, along with the employee satisfaction survey, we need to sit down and talk about this more as a council before we, go making a 5-year agreement with this much money. We need to have a much, much better plan of attack, and this actually has me pretty irritated at this point.
So knowing that the contract was 2 years and that it was up, and I do believe that he has reminded us of this at meetings, I guess we could have done more to have a committee that would have reviewed this, but it certainly doesn't come as a surprise.
Yeah, but it's inappropriate the way that this was done, Your Honor. There's at least 150 people in the city who have signed a petition. I mean, not that I'm agreeing with that either, but we have to at least take into consideration all of our feelings as a council.
Sure, and this is the time to do it.
I don't think it is the time to do it.
You know, Your Honor, if I might, sticker shock. It's a simple way to say it. I looked at it the other day, I looked at $600 auto, whatever, payment. That's not really that much. I just recently shopped for a vehicle, and that's where you're gonna be if you buy a vehicle. Not with service or anything, just the salary, you know, there's sticker shock there. If you've been around and you've done past council tours and you've got to know other cities, Craig is doing a pretty damn good job. And the council, Jason brought, or what do you call it?
Which, the survey or
the recall, the petition. The petition
Has never sat in front of us. I've never
well,
seen it.
it's not a good petition. It's a petition, it's illegal. It's a petition that says, here's this group of people and we want you, the city council, to fire the city manager.
Technically, no petition like that would be illegal though, because you can make
Well,
a change.org.
it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing,
I
Jay.
disagree that it does, it does mean something. I can't.
Legally, it means nothing. It means something to me in the fact that there's people that are upset.
That's where I'm going.
But when you sit down and you look at the signatures and you think about it, those are people that have very specific problems. My cousin got fired, or this is my friend, and again, that's in your mind.
But do you know that's the truth?
Well, I know from what I've seen,
so-
but the point is, rabbit hole, the point is that we don't see, the public doesn't see what the city manager does. And as part of my report, I want us to, and I know the manager's busy and staff, but we need to put together a promotion. Maybe it's time with LSPC. We need to put together a promotion of all the things that have changed.
I don't disagree.
Because if I'm an ice skater, I'm a happy camper right now because we got an ice rink. If I'm a dog owner, when is that dog park coming we've been talking about? You know, and that's the person that, yeah, I'll sign that because I don't have my dog park they said they were gonna do. So, like I said, sticker shock, but personally, I think he's doing a grand job. As in the past, we had managers that did next to nothing. And granted, he's rolling the dice. It's a gamble. But if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're gonna keep getting what you got. So I support this. While it's a lot of money, I support it.
So,
I just have a couple questions. So with what's presented to us here today, is this an all or nothing?
I mean, I think, so for example, we had discussed a couple of different options for a bonus. And that particular item B there is, I put that there. I mean, I think that, you know, we could approve it with amendments, or, you know, if we need to
Absolutely.
adjust something, we can certainly do that.
Is it an option at this point in time to have a special meeting where that we could go over each of the changes in detail before voting on it tonight?
That's
Is this
where I'm
time sensitive? Do we have to do this tonight?
I mean, I think we can always have a special meeting. If the contract is set, his current contract is set to expire on February 3rd. I don't think that. February 2nd. I don't think that means that you'll have your items at the door and walk out, although I don't know. So I would think that time would be of the essence to make that happen. So.
I don't personally, I don't think there's anything in there that could not be discussed and changed. by council action.
How many folks we approve this? Done.
Support.
For discussion purposes, I will add, I know there has been, was pointed out that there's a petition with 100 and some odd signatures on it. I'll add that 8 people showed up in person.
And most of those were your friends, Your Honor. No, if you want to discuss everything, if we're gonna go down these rabbit holes, we have to take a look, and we are getting, and again, I'm not saying this is, I'm not fighting you on this, Craig, because I do think you're doing a good job. But the way that this was presented to the city council, and the way that we are supposed to look at things, negotiate contracts, we can't approve something without actually spending the time to look at it, go over what improvements need to be made. And, you know,
I'm biting my tongue, and I'm gonna stop biting my tongue
So-
for a second, if I may, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
So first of all, there's not a person in this audience that would attest that Lindsay asked them to come and speak to this council on my behalf. That didn't happen because I asked them to come. I personally went out and talked to people that had made positive comments to me while working through this community and asked them if they would go on the record and make those similar positive comments. That's me. Got nothing to do with the mayor. Does she know them? Yes or no? That's not why they're here. That's point one. Point two is I have delivered over $8 million in new revenue or savings to this community in 2 years. Over 8 million. If you count the language correction that I did in order to save the senior center, I'm over $10 million of new money or savings in the budget to this community. I've fixed what the council hasn't done, which was they promised the DPW union and the union members of AFSCME to rebond their pension. We rebonded that because I took the effort to do so. It saved $5.3 million over the life of that bond. And it finished the commitment that this council made that did not take action. And that promise was made before I was here. I wasn't a part of that, but I finished it and I completed it on behalf of the council. I have delivered on my promises. You took a risk on me. We talked about that during my interview. You said, how long do you want this contract? There's no date on this thing. We said, well, you want to test me out because you're not used to somebody coming from the federal government and transitioning to a municipal government. And I said, well, you know what? Then let's take a risk. But at the end of this contract, I intend to talk about my value. I demonstrated my value. I brought it to you with this new contract. I did not take any time in wasting opportunity. I provided this contract to the council a while ago. I believe it was maybe 2 months ago. The council not seeing it, the council not doing it, not having a committee, that's not a reflection of the city manager delivering a proposal. But we haven't had a lot of solid processes in this organization. That's part of the challenge you gave me, to look at processes and improve processes. And I believe I've been doing that all across the organization. This process is owned wholly by the city council. So you're not, when you make a council or when you make a comment about whether this process functioned or not, you're not making a comment about me. You're not making a comment. I know you said you said it's not against me. My point is, it wouldn't be against me no matter what. The petition that's on the street, value or no value to you all, read it. It's not even about me. It's about council decisions. It says that I live outside of the 20-mile radius, which is protected by state. You know how far I live outside of the city limits? 33 feet. My right-of-way is 33 feet from the city limits. I'm allowed to be within 20 miles of the city limit, well within that right. And that's a statutory limit by the state of Michigan, not by this council. It says that I've done things that are council decisions, not things that I've done. So that petition is wholly a lie. No, I'm not referring to you. I'm looking down the council. I'm looking both directions. That petition is wholly lies. People that signed it were misled by whoever wrote it. And they may or may not even understand that. But I would tell you that there's some people that are relevant in this community whether they're a business owner or whether they're a resident. And they stood up before you and talked about the things that are going on and how we're improving things. LSCP, when I got here, nobody wanted to even talk about it. We've moved that train forward, and we're delivering a product that the council asked for, that I spent a lot of time building exactly what you asked for, putting it in a format that's going to change, and it's forward thinking. It's forward thinking about how we deliver services. We can't afford 3 new people, but that's what it would take to deliver that service at an average of about $100,000 with pay and benefits per person. We would be at $300,000. Even if we trim that way down to half, you're still at $150,000, and we're getting it for $50,000 because of an innovative idea for which LSCP is taking risk and we are taking risk. Look at Sarah sitting here. She's working in the office as an office manager downstairs in a transition because we know that our treasurer is planning to depart. But forward thinking says we should be able to do some overhire, do some cross leveling, and minimize the risk to the organization while she's shaping the front office to handle some of the issues that are coming up. And she's starting to take those things. Bill Anderson, people told me there was no way we're gonna hire a DPW foreman that could come in with an operator license. He's sitting right here. He has an operator license. He's changing things in our water program. Things that have been said that we can't do, I have done. If you want to revert to what this community looked like before I was here, choose not to renew the contract. I'm okay with that. I'll find another job. I have value. If you don't want me here, then choose. I'm not pointing at one person. I'm talking to the council. You're on my left side. I have more on my right side. I'm looking both directions and addressing the full council. But if you want to see value in this community, if you want to see these things continue, does it come without struggle? Absolutely not. No change comes without struggle. But I tell you, this change has been positive. People are standing up in front of you that are business operators in this town. New businesses, people that are opening businesses, people that are influencing a 4-acre new product that's going to support the entire community and probably go at least UP-wide, if not worldwide, as a new program. And I'm engaged in all of those things. And I'm frustrated because regardless of a survey that hits a group of people that are mad one day and happy the next, or whether it addresses things, my performance evaluation is what should be measuring me and my success, not a survey. I can't make this audience member happy every time she shows up. I'll never make her happy. The first meeting with that individual who is a target of opportunity every meeting came in and addressed me and wanted to fire 7 people off of our staff on her first meeting with me. I rejected that and asked her to leave. And I've been a target ever since. Because I said, how can I make a decision in 2 weeks that I'm gonna fire 7 critical staff members? It doesn't make any sense. No one would do that in their right mind. But that's what was asked of me. And since I said no to that, I've been challenged and been a target ever since. I am not gonna put up with it. I gave you, I believe, 2 months to review and develop a committee and do whatever. You all knew what you gave me for a contract. You all knew the timeline of the contract. I want to be in this community. I love this community. I love participating in all things with this community. But you all have to decide what you want for the community, because if it's not me, let me know. No problem. I don't think I put anything unreasonable in this proposal. To Councilmember Furby's question, throw another option. If you want to counter. We haven't had any discussion. My contract ends on the 2nd. Make an offer, make a counter. I don't care. It's my turn to talk. I'm sorry. It's my turn to talk. I apologize, but I had a 5-page speech ready for you that was going to talk about all the things I've done. But I got to the point where I couldn't bite my tongue anymore because I thought that it was not necessary to give you a speech rather than the comments, the things that are out on the street that are true lies, constant lies about my staff, constant misrepresentation about my staff, calling Kathy a clerk typist, sending anonymous letters that are just god-awful, insinuating extramarital affairs in this community, insinuating staff problems that don't exist, insinuating that people are misrepresented, people are leaving for not their own personal reasons. That is what has driven people to not want to be in this community. It is what representatives from other communities warn me about every time. I've stuck it out with you and I plan to stick it out with you longer if you choose to stick it out with me. If you don't want to, choose not to. I'm done. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to represent myself. I have value. Decide whether that value is on paper, make a counter, whatever you want to do. End of speech. I'm off my box. I apologize.
But that's where I'm, no, we are allowed to talk about some stuff here. We had to discuss. No, we can't end the discussion when the taxpayers are having to put the bill on this.
Your Honor, the essence of the problem is if you have a concern that's not appropriate, offer counter. I don't think we need a special meeting for counter proposals.
The items that have changed are the items that are highlighted. I'm assuming that there isn't issue with the items that haven't changed. So if you would like to discuss an item that has changed, then we can absolutely do that.
Well, I guess what I feel like is that this should have been a formal process. There should have been some time to discuss it at a meeting, go home, and then come back to another meeting and vote on it. I don't think that this is the type of way we should be doing contracts. And in fact, we don't do contracts.
I was gonna say, we don't have a process for anything of any of these that we do. As he just pointed out, we have no process for how we do these things. So that is unfortunate that we don't have a process for this. It is unfortunate that we have not followed a process that didn't exist, that does not appease you.
This was
some
you
of
and
this.
the city manager sitting down and bringing this to us. It should have been a council decision to have a committee of two, sit down with the manager, come up with something, bring it to council where we have an opportunity to take a look at it and make some changes.
Excuse me. We did have a committee of two for quite some time.
Quite some time, yes.
The mayor and the mayor pro tem. And you were one of the people that insisted that that was illegal and should not happen.
I was not.
Everything came back to you.
No, I didn't insist that.
Because we stopped doing it because of council
But you're the one that's
pressure.
got chief complaints right now too about not getting your reports. Why isn't that being brought up either?
So hold on. So I do know that there are, and this is, so
Again,
want.
this isn't intended to be against you. No.
So there is, Craig brings a lot of value to the city. I wholeheartedly agree with everything that you just said. Absolutely. I would not have put the things into this contract or kept the changes that we had discussed, did I not support them. I did have sticker shock when I looked at it at first. I was like, whew, yep, some of these are big numbers. Yep, that's what happens. I had sticker shock, I think, every time we've discussed salaries. Wages have gone up. Inflation is up, stuff just costs more money. There's always sticker shock. That being said, the things that he has done in this community since he's got here have been fantastic. It is absolutely what we've needed. We are putting processes into place where processes have not existed or haven't existed in maybe decades. There is a lot of work to do. I know how busy you are. I see you at every event outside of City Hall. He's at City Hall. He is always working. I drive by and there are vehicles in the parking lot. I know that he works very hard. In fact, perhaps maybe almost at times to a fault. You might be a workaholic, which is maybe a good thing for us. Unfortunately, maybe sometimes not for you. It's like, there's no doubt in my mind the amount of work and the quality of work that Craig does. Now, does that mean that there isn't room for improvement? Absolutely not. There's always room for improvement. That is why I spent a substantial amount of time working on a performance evaluation and how to take what we have been doing, really formalize that process, because that's where we can sit down and develop actionable goals and objectives that can be measured, that we can use to give a thorough performance evaluation, a process which we have been tinkering with for the past 2 years, but has not had a formal process in place.
And I think we need to have some input on that too. And again.
Sure, let's go.
This isn't about me going after Craig, because Craig is the one who came and sat with me at Ray Leverton's funeral. I do believe Craig is worth this. I
Okay,
do.
then let's.
But I'm complaining about the process of which it was put.
Okay, great. So
together
let's.
At a 5-year deal.
Okay.
That's what I'm complaining about here.
It's not a 5-year deal. It's a 5-year contract. If he's not doing his job, we'll fire his ass just as quick as we sign this.
Up, and he'll get a 25% severance pay, and if he decides that it
Yep.
sucks, he's gonna give us 60 days notice.
I guess that's what I'm trying not to deal with, is that type of mentality either. I guess I feel like as a council member who's working for the taxpayers and the employees of the city, that we come up with a process, because we don't give a contract to our police chief in this way. We haven't given a contract to our employees in this way, or our attorney. This was way put together without enough input from council, way too quickly. And that's where I'm PO'd about, not about Craig.
Okay,
Not
so-
at all.
so-
And you are right.
But the
contract you have in front of you is highlighted with changes from the contract that you established before I ever
Yeah,
arrived.
the changes are highlighted. If you want to discuss the changes, sure. Could we have had this in front of us 2 months ago at the November meeting? Sure. I can bear some of that ownership. I don't bear all of the ownership on that. The ship has sailed on following a better timeline. So what we have in front of us, and we can ensure that we attempt to follow a better timeline for the next one, although it is questionable how many of us may be here for the next one. Perhaps we can, I don't know, try to formalize that process a little better. Could we do it better? Yes, sure, great. We'll do better next time. But we have in front of us a contract with highlighted changes, and we're at a meeting where we can discuss it. So if you have changes that you'd like to see, now would be the time to bring that up, and we'll try to do a better job on the time frame next time.
Your Honor, there have been no discussion whatsoever about issues from this contract. Call the question if you would.
All right.
Motion by Skook, support by me.
Okay.
Councilmember Furby.
I'm sorry, what was that? Did you have something that you wanted to add?
So, well, I guess I don't know about the order of it. Do we have to? I would be interested in having another meeting to discuss this specific issue, a special meeting for that, so we can go over it a little bit better than the way things are going right now. But if the motion has already been called, then we have to vote on it.
I mean, is there a specific item that you would like to
I think all of
address?
the changes, I would like to discuss a little bit more.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that I'm opposed to a contract with Craig, not that at all, but I tend to agree with Councilmember Chapman that when you had stated that we had this for a couple months, I just got this. I didn't have this for a couple months. I had to call down and ask to get the previous one so I could compare what the changes were. I didn't even know, I just got that yesterday. So that's just where I'm coming from. I just wish I would have had a little bit more time to review it and talk it over with everybody as a whole.
And I think it would be a bad, also, especially if we don't have any problems with Craig at the moment, like to do this, but the principle of the way it was brought, and that I also don't like potentially and I don't know what Councilmember Furby is thinking, to potentially give a contract to a city manager with a 3-2 vote. I don't like that at all, or even a 4-1 vote. I think it should be at some point a unanimous vote. And I think we could get there, but I think we kind of need to get together as a council with our city manager, talk about the performance evaluation that we're going to use to evaluate whether he gets a $3,000 bonus or not. I also don't necessarily know if a $3,000 bonus is enough, if he's going out there and getting us millions of dollars in grants that we've never had before, which is true. I mean, he is going out and getting us grants that this city, to my knowledge, has never even applied for before. So I also think that there are some, there are areas in here where I'm not entirely sure that's enough of a bonus either.
Okay.
So there's just a lot of areas where I think, and again, I got a little frustrated. My apologies on that. But I got one in my going like this, and I think we have to have respect for each other when a contract is this big, and 5 years to have a little time to digest it and to work together on it.
Hang on, I'm thinking.
Don't think too long because I'm about to speak again.
Okay. Then I will.
Your Honor, just a point that was delivered via email on the 7th. So it wasn't just dropped today.
No, I didn't say it was.
No, I'm just making that point.
I gotta speak, I'm sorry. The comment made by Mr. Chapman was that there may be increased value in areas, and there may be decreased value in other areas. It all is right now on paper what I proposed as something I would do. If there's more value there, I'm losing it because you're gaining it by me taking the offer that's there. If there's overinflated, which hasn't been presented as overinflated other than you wanted more time, I'm being held hostage to a process that has not been formalized, by which I gave you 2 months. I am being held hostage because of the council's, you're my bosses, I respect each of you, but it's ineptability in this case to process something and then say you didn't have enough time to digest it and process it. I'm pretty sure I gave you enough time from the manager's perspective to do so, and now you're uncomfortable with it by your own action. That is what keeps people from applying for jobs in this city. It's what is the standard voice across Marquette County. Craig, I can't believe you're still at Ishpeming. I'm here because I love Ishpeming. I'm here because I love this community. I'm here because I can continue to do my job. But you are really pushing me to a point at which maybe I should think about something else. I don't want to, but my value is something I proposed. My value is way overpaid. 2 years of work, I've delivered more than $8 million worth of value to this community. You'll never pay me enough to repay me for the $8 million of new money to this community. In a 5-year contract, you don't even come close to touching the first $1 million.
So
you don't come anywhere close. And I'm actually 10 million when I saved the senior center. I took that out because that was before I was here. There's value in me. There's value in the contract. I've made a deal. You haven't, as Mr. Scanlon pointed out, talked to any eaches of things you want to do. Prolong it, fine. My contract ends in a second.
So we do have a motion and a second. As there have been no comments specific to any of the items that are changed, you can hold the process against me if you would like to. I would prefer that you don't hold that against Craig. And we can absolutely work to formalize that process for future contract negotiations with the city manager. As Mr. Scanlon pointed out, this is not a binding contract. He is free to leave at any time. Suffice as he gives us 60 days notice, he will maintain his severance pay, and he is subject to severance pay should he leave before the end of this contract. I believe that protects both the city and Craig, but it does not lock anyone into a 5-year contract. I think personally that the commitment that he is interested in staying for 5 more years, and to put on paper that he would like to stay for 5 more years speaks to his intent in this community. And regardless of the relationships that I may or may not have with members of the public who came to speak on his behalf today, they chose to come here of their free time. They chose to write letters of support. We only had one written or in-person comment against the renewal of the contract. And so I personally am very much in favor of approving, adopting, and renewing this contract. And so, as it has been motioned and supported, everyone else who is in favor of this, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Yep.
Roll call?
Councilmember Chapman?
No.
Councilmember Furby?
No.
Councilmember Scanlon?
Aye.
Councilmember Councilmember Scugg?
Yes.
Mayor Bean?
Yes.
Motion passed 3-2.
That's exactly what I didn't want to see happen. Because I don't feel like it.
Well,
Voting has happened.
You voted the way that you just voted, so you, that happened.
It isn't against Greg, so. Sorry, it's not.
Well, then it's against us and you. But he unfortunately is the recipient of that feedback.
Your Honor, we have the attachment for the evaluation. To save further heartache by council, I would like you to schedule a meeting prior to the evaluation to go over the report that you put together.
Okay. So a meeting to go over that before we conduct the evaluation?
Yes.
Okay. We will do that.
So have a meeting to discuss the evaluation.
Yes.
But not, oh my God. Support it.
It wasn't a motion.
We will just schedule a meeting. All right, then we are moving on to old business. Mr. Scanlon, do you have any old business?
I do, Your Honor. Well, it's old and new. The lighting at the cliff shaft. We did get the price from Frailing Electric from the guys have left, from the committee. And I believe it was 14,000 if I remember. But at any rate, I'd like to make a motion that we see if the cliff shaft can split the cost of that with us. And I'd like to include in that motion that we pick up the charge for the power. We paid for a few years, we paid for the power to light that shaft. And a lot of our current events happen around that shaft. And it's a heck of a draw for tourism. So if we could, I would move that we spend the 7,000, half of the quote, if the cliff shaft can come up with the other half. And resume paying the electric bill, which should be less now because the new lights would be LED and a lot less wattage. So I would make that a motion.
Support.
It's a little over 10,000.
Oh, okay, thank you, Steve.
It's 10,300 or something.
Okay, so we have a motion and support to offer to split that cost. All those in favor, please say aye.
And resume paying the power.
And resume paying the power. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
That's all for new, or old, I'm sorry.
Diz, do you have any old business?
I don't know if this counts as old business. I think it does, because it was discussed earlier. Thank you, Craig, for this, about the snow clearing operations. I was just wondering, is this going to be, like, put on the website, or was it gonna come up later? Were we gonna discuss it here tonight?
Well, I was gonna talk about it under manager report, but we can talk about it now under new old business. It fits either way.
I was just
But-
wondering if we were gonna share it with the public in some way, was my question.
Well, so this is first draft. because you asked me to put some stuff together on paper so you could look at it. If this is how I chose to present it to the council, we can choose a myriad of ways to present it. We could make this part of our new contract under LSCP in order to talk about our marketing and communication. How would we communicate these things? But there's a lot there. It's not just snow clearing. We could start with something. We could choose to put this just as it is on the website, or you can tell me you have some feedback on how you want to address it, and we can discuss it in many different ways, I guess is the answer. Initially, you just asked me to put some data together and talk about all the changes that have been kind of occurring.
Okay, and I guess, well, so is it our, and this isn't directed just to Craig, but everybody, I guess, is it our intent to, once we have a solid plan, if you will, share that?
I think so. I'd like to see, right, I'm always on the communication thing. I think if there are solid plans and or changes, that communication is always best policy.
Just to look at your LSCP contract on table 1, the first portion of the table under communication, it talks about developing a communication plan as the first thing on the list there. And so, yes, we plan to develop a plan in short, but these were the things you asked me to address now. We could start addressing it now, or we could wait for a communications plan and strategy for how we want to address it. That's up to the council. It is codified in contract now, though. I mean, essentially when I sign and get the other signature, but.
I think personally, I'd like to spend time with it because we just got it tonight and it does have a lot of information and policies, if you will. I think personally with the snow clearing and plowing, I think Bill has done a good job. I know he's changed some things from what you were doing and we're meeting in the middle. I don't have a problem with continuing like we are, and maybe at the next meeting, we don't need a special meeting, but at the next meeting, come back with remarks on this entire, because there's metering and all the other stuff in there. Again, it's not a finished document, so.
Sure, yeah, I just know like last year there was confusion about the policy with myself included. I don't know what it for sure was. I thought there was something with 4 inches, but then so I just wanted everybody to be on the same page, I guess is all.
And the other thing that I've done is I've been in a couple times and talked to the manager, who in turn talked to Mr. Anderson, and we were able to work around the issues. We've had snow removal that was kind of like an etch-a-sketch thing, hey? Lots of overtime, lots of plowing, lots of hauling, and all we're trying to do is get it in control of it and still do quality removal. So don't be afraid to call a manager and ask.
Okay. So I guess yeah, okay, thank you. All right, Stu, do you have any old business? Jason? Old business?
Yeah, so one is the Channel 189. So Joan, who is the government rep for Charter, called me yesterday morning. So Charter's processes is a nationwide process, and we fit into the shuffle the same as any other government organization. She called with what she calls big news. We've moved out of an engineering into a construction phase of their process, and she believes that we've moved to where they're going to start doing the actual placement of equipment. Is probably still about 2 months out, but she intends to visit us at our next meeting. That's her hope. Her husband has a medical issue that she's got a surgery the day before, so she's probably going to, she wants to be here in person. She may have to Zoom, but her intent is to be here and do a 5-slide presentation on where we are with it and give you a more detailed update. But she did want to call because she knew this meeting was tonight to tell you that it's not stalled, it is moving. It's just in the cogs of Charter.
All right. I don't have any old business. I guess, actually I do. So we have the do's and don'ts for tours of facility. That's something we had talked about at the last meeting. So just to clarify, we are moving forward with the tour on next Wednesday.
So there's input from all the staff. I have to create the final timeline and topics list with the intent that you would be able to go and tour. I do not have a bus at this point to like shuttle everybody around, so we would probably want to carpool best we can.
Okay.
But safely based on the current environmental conditions.
Okay. Do you have an estimated start time for us?
7 a.m. Is the best time to reach the police officers.
Okay.
So that would be where it would start, is because they have shift change 7 a.m. or 7 p.m.
Mhm.
And their best time for that day for them is 7 a.m. If you're unable to make that for whatever reason, the timeline will be given to you in advance, so you'll know where the next stopping point would be.
If we do 7 a.m. on a Wednesday, how much of the staff are we missing?
Most of them. There's no good time for everybody.
Can we do 2 and hit most of them?
Well, I thought if you did, I mean, yeah, we had discussed that, but I have. Sorry, my schedule is basically 2 shifts. So on Wednesday and Thursday, we have a shift working, and that's half the department. And then the next week on that Wednesday, Thursday would be a different shift, so.
The other half.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're still not getting everybody.
I mean, it's a fact of life at some point that we're just, with different schedules, we're just not going to hit everybody.
And I think what we discussed is that, is it the intent to talk to every officer?
And then that was not,
It's
the
so
intent
that's-
of the
they're-
original.
they're- By coming at 7, you will hit hopefully 2 midnight guys that are coming off shift. There should be a day shift coming on shift. There should be, our office manager that will be there, our detective will be there, I will be there.
Sergeant be there?
No, not until 1 o'clock.
I thought we were gonna do the tour and then hit the 7 p.m. I thought that's what.
There had been some discussion of timing, but it hadn't been decided on. And, part of it is from the preference of the departments that we're going to. I mean, I don't.
On that particular day, my day shift guy actually gets off at 3 o'clock because it's a short shift, and then one of my midnight guys doesn't come on till 11 because it's his short shift. So
Yeah.
you're getting even less people at 7.
But again, the purpose of the tour, as explained to me, was to be able to understand the department, the
Yes.
challenges, the things that are good, bad, and indifferent
Yes.
about the department and its operations, not the people.
It's not to
It's
be
not,
an
it's not,
irritant. It's not a-
it is the
and-
people, but it's not that the goal is to meet every single person, as that is
Right.
difficult to do with different shifts.
And if you would like to do that, we could schedule that, but that would take 2 or 3 days, or 2 or 3 different times.
Yeah, the goal would be
It
to
might
hit,
lead 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because of making the shifts all work.
Right, you wouldn't be able to do them in a row, right?
How are we conveying to night shift? You can stay over if you'd like to?
Well, I hope that you would be there by 7, and I will talk to them, and I don't know, I've basically put that on the top of the agenda to do first.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So then if they need to go home and go to sleep, because they'll be back at 7.
Right.
That they can do that, so.
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna be holding them for long or anything else, so.
At all if they don't want to.
Right.
That's-
Right.
all right, thanks. We look forward to that. Okay, so then, see, we hit that, so new business. Pat, do you have any new business?
I do. Craig touched on it earlier, but I would like to, I'll probably get killed for this. Maybe we should get Sarah reading the financial starting next month instead of having both of them here, we could relieve Caitlin, and if Sarah would be good enough as the office manager to do that in the interim till we get, and if it's okay with Craig, obviously.
Yeah, let me resolve that with my staff, not to discount what you're saying. There has to be a transitional time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that we're ready for that transitional time yet. Because
And
there's a lot
it's totally your
A lot
call.
of transition in office management beyond just the transfer of treasurer function.
Right,
So,
right. Okay.
it may not be where we're ready to focus yet.
The other thing I had under my mayor council reports, and I'll do it now, is what I mentioned during our lengthy discussion. We have these adversarial type comments, people that there's never anything positive, period. I would like to see, and I know the manager's got enough on his plate, but we've done a lot of positive things, and I mean a lot. If you sit down and say, well, let's see, what have we done that I can make, that you're like, it's a landslide. I think we need to start, and Lake Superior is at a good time. Need to start going over all the things we've done. We put a beautiful senior center up in just the last couple of years. That was a fundraiser when we started. You know, we've done so many good things. I think we need to start promoting some of the good things because I don't think the public has a clue. So not a motion or anything like that, but I'd like to see Craig and staff, whether it's LSPC or who, kind of get rocking on that as we go into the new year.
Sure. I agree. I had a 5-page list of things for you.
Well, you could email that
But
to me.
I can share that immediately, minus the other commentary. I'll just take out the commentary, focus on the budget, on the bullets. But I did hit budget, process improvement, forward thinking, resolution to outstanding issues, innovation, honoring our history and celebrating achievements, reaching out, and sharing the good news. So
very good.
I have those things already done as part of my value
Would you
statement.
be willing to do a Facebook post once a month that is sharing the good news, just the way you said it? Just as from the manager sharing the good news.
I am willing to do a lot of things. We now have a contract that will help shape a communication plan, which includes social media. We just put it under contract. You just authorized me tonight. It doesn't happen with the wave of a magic wand.
No,
But you've already approved that. It's in the deliverables you approved tonight.
Yes.
We're moving in that direction.
No, I just thought of things.
Right,
from
but
the
my
manager.
commitment to that is, yeah, I'm gonna sign the document. We're moving forward to that.
So
I
think-
agree.
So I think there's room for consideration for something like that, for a specific strategy to, is there a regular post? I mean, I think that's what it said, schedule of social media posts on there. So I think that that's something that could be considered. Yeah, so, but I, on the one hand, a one-off post seems nice, but if it's not part of a larger plan, they frequently get lost.
I
in
was
the-
just trying to, like, something from the city manager to the public that is once a month. It's, you know, it's from Craig to the public. I thought that would be like a.
I just think that we need to make it as part of our total communication strategy, which is under contract.
Yep.
That when we get to that discussion and dialogue, that should be part of that discussion and dialogue. I don't want to now independently start answering stuff which we put under contract for us to develop a true strategy. That's part of our problem, is not having process. We're developing a process. We have it done under contract.
Okay,
That's all, Your Honor.
all right. Diz, any new business? Stu? Jason?
No business, no.
Craig?
Just one, and it's referring back to a discussion last month. Just, you asked me to look at option strategy for the finance director. We've hashed out one that didn't work out. We are trying to figure out what the next best strategy is, and I think that it's to go to a professional to help us find another professional. We have a cost of what it takes for MML to do a executive search. I believe this position is considered in the executive search, but it doesn't come free. And we would need to make sure our pay band is correct. I think we set the pay band as it's been presented to Mr. Lampman as, you know, the top end is that 80,000. Benefits fall under the contract of non-union employees where they fall into that scope. So don't have to spell out much more than that. But it's the last packet we had, which we've been trying to get hold of the people to confirm whether there was a price change from 21 to 22, was around 14,000. And I think it's probably at that point of choosing to go to a professional route of search, but it costs money. And
I think we've done enough and hit a dry well.
Right.
I would make a motion that we authorize the manager to not exceed $15,000 through the Michigan Municipal League to search for a new financial director.
Support.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
And then I would like to ask you all to consider an up to amount, $15, $16 an hour, to be able to, based on skills, select the part-time assistant in the office downstairs. We haven't been able to get a qualified list for that either, probably based on salary. So I mean, again, it would be up to a certain amount. I think if we did some comparison rates across the town, I think Sarah's already done some of that legwork. It's somewhere between $15 and $16 an hour is the competitive rate for that. And so we're looking to be able to offer something that might draw a better interest for that part-time position to get that position filled.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion. We authorize the city manager to go to $16 for the part-time employee.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
And then the last thing I have is the tube slide. We have not been able to secure 7 applications. We have 2. The question is, do we continue to seek, or do we say the tube slide is closed? We are managing this special event at a high cost because we're using regular employees at the overtime rate to run that event. Sponsored events, there's people that want to have sponsored events, whether it's their organization or whether it's to make the till open to the public, is up to the organization. But right now, I would have to say that if we did that, we would ask a fee that it would at least break even on our staffing using DPW staff who would have to say, yes, I'm willing to do that work as an overtime pay because they're still working full time.
And a snowstorm can throw a wrench into that.
Everything can throw a wrench into everything right now. We could try to increase the rate of what we offer to work the tube slide, but the park and rec board is $9.50, $9.75, something like that, minimum wage. And the Parks and Rec Board have set the fees based on what the rate of pay was. So now we would be in a losing circumstance again. I as the city manager would stop concessions. That's a losing effort for us, and it blocks the access to the bathroom and warm up because it makes it harder to manage food and concessions with other than just bathrooms. So we would try to minimize that loss, and some of that loss could be absorbed with some pay increase. But to balance that out against the fee schedule that was approved by the parks, we have to decide what the council wants to do.
Who is showing us $10
an hour? Up to $10 an hour, or?
I don't know that would do it.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Does the Parks and Rec committee meet soon?
February.
Yeah.
And it was, so, and even the increase, the fee schedule increase was a very contentious topic. And the majority of the board was not interested in raising those fees. Potentially, I mean, obviously it's late, because the board doesn't meet again until February, but they were not particularly swayed by the break even, make a little bit
Well,
of.
Your Honor, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but if we took it as an emergency action, limited the hours, you know, just do Saturday, maybe say, increase the wage, and council took that action. After this thing changes a little bit, we go back to original rate.
If I'm allowed to make comments.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about that, and I don't think you're gonna find a single person in the world that's gonna work for that few hours, for that few dollars.
Oh, okay.
On a standby basis. So what we're asking tonight is all or nothing. You don't have the applicants, you're not gonna get the applicants, you're not gonna raise the rates. You need to make the decision to close it so that we can start advertising, so that you don't get any more phone calls. That's what we're asking.
So when you say that, you mean cancel?
Tube slide would be canceled.
What do we
for
have
all
on the
public.
books?
We're all public. You could say that a corporate rate, if a corporation, say Eagle, Cliffs Mine, some other corporation says they want to do an event there, you could make it equal to the cost to run it, provided I can get the full-time staff to volunteer for that.
Yeah, and that's.
I mean, that's what we're doing right now. We kind of pre-approved an event and then we assumed we had manpower. We didn't. So now
Who do
we're
we
doing it
have
with
on
our
the books
staff.
besides Gothier?
Well, so I.
No one right now, but I know that we have.
I had inquired about, Eagle Mine did an event 2 years ago, which was maybe one of our better attended events, period. And we have been very much looking forward to doing it again. Knowing that that's how it could be staffed, I would, so I'm part of the committee that plans that, knowing that that's how it was going to be staffed, I would maybe not choose to do it. One, because of the cost to the city, but also I can't imagine, I mean, overtime pay is nice, but it's also maybe not like your favorite thing to do in an evening, so I would probably.
And the big caveat is, you to somebody, I get a 24-inch storm, my
Yeah.
storm trumps.
Yeah, and then I have to figure out what to do with all the people who are planning to come. So I would, as a potential renter under that scenario, not super thrilled about it.
That being said, I'll make a motion that we honor our commitment to Gothiers for this coming Saturday and shut it down for lack of employees.
Support.
And I think that can be something that's taken back to the Parks and Rec Board as well, that the failure to increase the fee schedule at a rate that accommodates the costs has prevented basically wiggle room in there to do that, which is really unfortunate.
Make one other question.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a tube slide. If the guy has that extra time, they take the broom up and down for the weekends for the kids to go sledding and get them tired for bed. That's your guys' call. But tube slide won't be an option.
The tow rope won't be an option. The
Be
hill,
down.
right, we won't have
Hill's
anybody,
always
we won't
there.
have anybody to operate it. The hill will be there. We'll do our best when we have the available time and between snowstorms to at least run a groomer over so that kids can on there with a sled or their own tubes to use it as a sledding hill. But it would be at the public's own risk.
As part of the notice, you could say that. Be groomed as possible, as available, and it's all at your own risk. Put that as part of the motion.
Which I think we did that last year because of COVID.
Yeah.
And some people used it and were happy with at least having something, so.
Okay, so.
One other question is, summer students connected to this gig?
So no, we were making it known that if you worked in the summer, or if you worked in the winter on the tube slide and you wanted to work in the summer, you're gonna get some points towards the process of
okay,
interviewing
that's
and
where I was
scoring.
going.
But we still have a process for hiring. But they would likely get the job in the summer as well. It would give them the leg into the summer program. But many of our summer hires graduated this past year, so we've lost a large portion of the ones that were here this year to time of graduation and moving on.
I forgot what.
Is this a final for sure? It is supposed to be the season no matter what?
That's what the vote would be.
Like in the event that miraculously there's a bunch of people watching this meeting and they're like, hey, I didn't know that. My kid will do it. Would we reconsider or no? This is very hypothetical.
Well, so I have to decide whether to keep an open announcement. At what point does somebody apply? And I sit on the application because I don't have 7 of them.
Yeah.
Before I can call them and say, oh, I have 7 applicants. Do you all still want the job? I mean, it's a jerking people around kind of scenario when it comes to applications.
Yeah, because I think at the same time, like, well, we had the recommendation of the Parks and Recreation Committee. Could we go back and revisit that fee schedule as ourselves and change it? Yes, but then we have to, do all of that, then put it back out, hire people. We've missed the boat. We're, 2 weeks into January. It's, it's not worth the effort at this point. So I do think that we can, as the Parks and Rec Board, do a more thorough job of evaluating that cost analysis in a way that would allow flexibility in salaries for part-time employees for next year. All right, so there is a motion and a second to just be done with the tube slide for this year. So all of those unfortunately in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Stu. Okay, we need a roll call for that.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Furby?
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon?
Yes.
Councilmember Skug?
No.
Mayor Bean?
Yes.
Motion passed 4-1.
Okay, so is there any other new business?
I have one thing. I
yeah.
guess I
Okay.
just wanted to let
Yeah, I do have one more. Sorry, but go ahead.
everybody know right now there's a problem with the website. You can go on it, but when you click on attachments, they're not coming up. So 906 is working on it. So just so everybody knows that that's what's going on, and hopefully it'll be fixed soon.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. My next one is under item 24, so.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
We're just trying to make sure we don't forget.
Okay. And we'll go this way. Jason, do you have a report?
Yeah. Guess I got a couple things. Do you do council report before or after the second public comment?
No, it should be after.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I did not mean to skip that. As I mentioned earlier, I can't follow a numbered agenda even when it's sitting right in front of me. So with that, we will open our second session of public comment, which is limited to 3 minutes per person. And as we have someone in the room who would like to speak, please go ahead.
One second, I gotta get you set up. Sorry.
To be fair, I should ask people who are on Zoom to turn their camera on also. So that would make it fair for the people in the room. Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to address a comment earlier, from Mr. Chapman, that we commented because we were the mayor's friends. Personally, I'm very insulted.
And I apologize
that
for
you
that.
said that. I had never had a personal conversation with Mayor Bean until after the first time I came to a council meeting. And the fact that you acted like we were having a popularity contest, I'm insulted by that. I'm an adult. I said what I said because of what Craig has done professionally, not because I'm someone's friend. And the fact that you would say that is unbelievable to me.
It's out of my character, and I apologize. It's way out of my character.
You also thanked me after the last time I was here because I said something positive. Tonight, you took issue with the fact that 150 people, which I think if I do my math right is about 2% of the population, signed a petition. None of them, one of them showed up, one. A lot more of us showed up. I just sat here for over 2 hours to show my support. You're giving energy to the negativity by even bringing that petition up. It's insulting to those of us that went out of our way to say something positive. That none of those people dared even show their face here because they had nothing to say that matters. They were making personal attacks. What we all said here was all professional. I'm pretty sure that the woman who spoke from the 4 letters.
Partridge Creek, or LSP,
She's
LSCP.
not a friend of the mayor's.
And I apologize again for that. That was out of my character.
Thank you. And because I like to say something positive, I would also like to thank Bill, because I know a lot of people have complained about snow plowing. The last week after the last storm was so much better than it has been since I've lived here for over 2 years now, so thank you for whatever you changed. It was great.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment?
Claudia Demarest, 821 Marie Street in Ishpeming. I take issue with the fact that Mr. Cuccini said that I, in a meeting with him, told him to fire 7 people. That meeting, which you don't know, was recorded. I never asked you to fire anyone. You are a liar.
I don't think so. All right, is there anyone else for public comment? Is there anyone on Zoom for public comment?
We got nobody on Zoom for public comment.
Okay. All right, then, let's see, we started with Jason already for council reports, and then you defaulted
Yeah.
back and said public comment. Did you have anything that you?
Yeah, I do. Okay. I do have to address a few things. First, I do apologize, Your Honor, and to people who came here and spoke. That is out of my character. I think there was a lot of frustration from me on the process. And I gotta also say that, you know, I don't necessarily know who signed a petition, but 150 people did. And I can't discount 150 people either. You know, I have to balance what everybody does say. And while they may not have been here, that doesn't mean that they have done it.
I'm sorry.
No.
When we see a petition in front of us with some signatures on it and some language, then we can talk about it. If we're gonna talk about it.
This is my council report though, please,
Okay.
Your Honor. Now, I'm not giving credit to it. I'm not saying there isn't credit to it. Now, this was Craig's first 3-2 vote, and I don't believe that it reflects him. At least it wasn't my intention to reflect on him. It was to reflect on the process, and that is 4 of us on council didn't have an appropriate amount of time or input in the contract. And it is worth at least $650,000. And that's not how we've done contracts with any of our other employees or with the unions. And again, it was not against Craig. And, but a request to hold a meeting, which is our job, that would have been the best case outcome for the city, the employees, and the council and the manager. And again, I do apologize for my comments. It's again out of my character, and I don't even know why I even would say that. Again, it's out of frustration, I think, because of the way that this was brought to us. And again, it's not against you, Craig, because I do agree. You know, you and I have spent a lot of time outside of work hours, and I've grown to have a lot of respect for you. And And I hope that doesn't change, and I truly hope it doesn't, because again, if we would have got to discuss this a little more and where we were going with this, I think it would have been probably a 5-0 vote. With that said, we do have the 135th annual ski jumping competition coming up on Tuesday, the 18th, 17th, 18th, I don't know which, I can't even remember, my head's not completely on straight after this. I did a ride along with DPW, and oh, did I learn a lot from that when it comes to how we remove snow. What a process that those guys are doing a damn good job. I'm doing an upcoming ride along with the police department again. I want to learn more. 18th, okay, thanks, Stu. But one thing I do want to touch on was last month, the city manager, myself, Representative Kim Benzie, Pastor Geyer, and Tony Bertucci presented Ray Leverton with all of the accolades from the city, the state, and the federal government. And this past January 8th was Ray's funeral. And I sat next to Craig. I was honored to be there with Craig. You know, Ray meant a lot to this community, meant a lot to a lot of us individually. And I know he's up there yelling at me for my comments tonight, not maintaining positive and professional decorum, but you know, I just want to again thank Ray for everything he's done, and his family for sharing him with this community. That's all I got.
Stu? Is? Okay. I guess I would like to thank Craig for setting up the DPW snow plowing ride-alongs. I did participate in that, and got up at 3 in the morning and rode along for a couple hours, and I did find it to be very enjoyable and interesting.
Excellent video.
And my hand got cold hanging out the window. So I rode with Brad up in Cleveland location, and it was very interesting to see how that happens with all the angled corners and going up Hill Street, and exciting times. And I did find it to be quite enjoyable. I think I would probably actually like snow plowing. So
They don't put wipers on the passenger window no more? Because I was waiting for one of them to come back and say, I stuck my head out and I got slapped about 12 times.
But I appreciate your work in getting that set up, and I appreciate your work in getting us set up to go around to the different departments in the city next week also. So thank you. And that is it for me. And the report from you.
I'm just gonna take a deep breath.
Fair enough.
Good report.
And Caroline.
Nothing, thank you.
Your Honor, after a brief break, I will make a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to Michigan compiled law 15-268C to consider strategy and negotiations connected with a collective bargaining agreement. Roll call.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Furby?
Yes.
Councilmember Scanlon?
Yes.
Councilmember Skug?
Yes.
Mayor Bean?
Yes.
Jason, can you put us in closed session, please?
I will.
Jason, we're ready to go back into open.
All right, we're good to go.
Your Honor, we're back in open session.
All right,
You don't want it.
and we need a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Who motioned?
I did.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
I said we need.
Thanks, Chief.
We'll call that up.
No problem.